Welcome. My name is Pierre Wolf, and I'm Chief Strategy Officer for InCountry. Today, we're here to speak about how to expand your SaaS business in China with a data localization solution. Founded in 2019, InCountry has developed a data residency as a service platform, a compliance edge cloud, if you will, focused on the needs of global 2,000 companies and companies operating in highly regulated industries. We were fortunate enough to partner with Alibaba Cloud to bring this solution to China. Today, InCountry has a team operating globally with an experienced leadership team in enterprise software. Cross-border data regulatory environment is rapidly growing. Not only are we seeing a growth in number of countries that are beginning to address data protection through new legislation, but we're seeing countries that had data protection regulations making those more robust and more highly defined. Along with that, we're beginning to see consultancies, research firms, mainstream media really beginning to talk about this as the fines and punishments for violating these regulations are becoming real. While we understand explicit regulation as a key driver to data localization requirements, we also find that in addition to these regulations and legislations, there are also other areas where data residency plays a role. Effective regulation is really, we find this more in payments, where in certain countries, in order to get a payments license, you have to localize your data in that country. As well, we're beginning to see companies really leading the charge, understanding that more and more countries are passing these regulations, and they're trying to get ahead of that by making sure that they localize their user data in each of the countries in which they operate. It is with this background that Alibaba Cloud InCountry have teamed up to deliver on two solutions that help address multinational companies' needs to localize their data in China. The first is the Alibaba Cloud InCountry Service. This is a multi-tenant system that is run redundantly between a Shanghai and Beijing facility and enables customers to integrate their SaaS applications and store their data compliantly in China. The second solution is the Corporate Node. Corporate Node is designed as a single-tenant solution meant to enable companies to exert greater control over the infrastructure. The hosting is still done at Alibaba, but under the company's control. And so InCountry facilitates this with a managed service, but effectively all under the guise of the company's certifications and any other security requirements that may be enforced at that facility. The challenges for companies that are trying to implement their own data residency solutions in China are numerous, and not just so much in China, but really anywhere they might have that requirement. Not only are there legal and compliance requirements, but there are also hosting operations, engineering and administration, and operations and maintenance requirements. Taken together, this can mean that for every country with regulations, a whole team has to be deployed to manage this process. With ACIS, because it's an on-demand platform, it's a much more cost-effective approach. When looking at a matrix of build versus buy, you can start to quickly see how the costs can mount when you decide to build this yourself. As well, once using the ACIS platform, you can also then extend to other countries later with the same infrastructure and the same APIs and integrations that are already done in order to meet the regulatory requirements in China. So, taken as a whole, the build versus buy decision becomes a very easy math problem to solve, with buy being the obvious solution. The opportunity presented by the Alibaba Cloud InCountry Service is the ability to run one world, one instance of any software application that you have to be running for your business to operate. This can help lower DevOps costs. It can help centralize the process of maintaining all of these international regulations and standards. It will also help run a single application instead of having to host a different version of the application in each different country that you're operating in. And then finally, Only the data which is regulated can be partitioned and kept in the country so that the rest of the data can flow back into the main application for whatever global reporting requirements are there. There are various ways to integrate with the ACIS platform. Today, customers can choose either an SDK approach, the more common REST API approach, or finally the codeless border solution. Each has its advantages, and each has its specific use case where it makes the most sense to do that. The Alibaba Cloud InCountry Service is really meant to provide the maximum flexibility for customers to integrate whether it is mobile applications, web-based applications, legacy applications. Some cases, it's more server-side integrations. In some cases, it's more client-side integrations. And all of these are supported. With the border product, we offer a codeless solution, which effectively enables data to run through it, making sure that only that which is unregulated can leave the country, and any regulated data is stored locally. If we look at a typical SaaS application, we find that users can be located anywhere in the world and simply, via the internet, access the applications that may be sitting outside of their country. The only requirements there are that there may be access control limitations around what data they can see, but there are no effective border restrictions or data localization restrictions that affect what they can see and what they can do with that data. In China, we find that there's really two different types of models that are most applicable. The first being what we'll term the replicated model. This is where a customer of a company gives consent to having their data processed outside of China. In that situation, a copy of the data must still be stored in China, but there is a flow that permits the data to be processed outside. This requires certifications and regulatory review, but it is possible for those companies that get this certification to store their data both in China and in their main application that might sit outside of China. The second model is the redacted model. This is the more common model in China. And this is where the constraints and the restrictions are that the data can never leave China, it cannot be viewed outside of China, and it cannot be processed outside of China. This is a much trickier implementation because effectively some of your processing of data might also need to take place inside China. And with the Alibaba Cloud InCountry Service, this is exactly what it supports. Not only is the data stored in the country, but it can only be viewed by people in the country and processed inside the country. We support serverless functions in order to do some processing of data where it may be required to happen inside the country. Today, this is the most common model we see in China. The corporate node on Alibaba Cloud is a secure managed platform that stores and processes sensitive and regulated data within compliance of the data laws and regulations in China, basically enabling customers to connect their global SaaS applications or homegrown applications while storing and processing regulated and sensitive data in China. The key difference is that rather than operating as a multi-tenant system, this is a single-tenant system that operates behind the customer's firewalls. The customers provide the secure network access to the hosts, and the hosts should be completely isolated from other hosts in their facility. The customer is also responsible for all of the compliance requirements, whether it's obtaining ICP licenses or MLPS certification. All of these things are in the customer's purview to control. As well, InCountry offers a managed service that can enable the operation of the system on behalf of the customer while still providing the customer with the ultimate control of any access or other security requirements that they might need to bring to bear. Thank you all for the opportunity to present the Alibaba Cloud InCountry Service. We look forward to any questions you might have, and please reach out to your Alibaba Cloud representatives, whether on Alibaba Cloud International or locally in China, to learn more about the Alibaba Cloud InCountry Service. Thanks again, and have a wonderful conference. Cheers.